In thinking about medieval landholding, land ownership, we're often interested in how people have land taken away from them. And the key words here in English seem to be dispossession, disseisin, deforcement. How would you see these ideas playing out within the context of Roman law and Italian feudal law?
Well, in Roman law, the best translation for divorce is probably evictio, which could be only exerted by the full owner, called the dominus, who wanted to claim back his land from an unlawful possessor. By law, the dominus could not be evicted. This is very important to note. And even in case of excommunication or conviction of a capital crime, the owner's kinsman could even lay claim on the evicted. The case of tenants is different by the Roman law, since tenants could be evicted only at any time the tenant failed to fulfill one of the obligations entailed in the contract, such as pay the rent or, fail to provide service. A third case is that of fief holders. According to the Libri Feodorum, there were two broad categories of causes by which a holder could be evicted from the fief: alienations and betrayal. In case of unlawful alienation of the fief, that is to say when the holder sold or leased more than half a fief, the fief was distributed among the holder's closer relatives. On the other hand, in case of betrayal, and by betrayal I mean when the holder assaulted the lord or abandoned him on the battlefield, or he cuckolded him, the fief was seized and then it was returned to the lord, it reverted to the lord.
In English law, probably the central concept is disseisin, which can be justified, legitimate, or unjustified. Disseisin is most easily translated now as dispossession, and by the 13th century in English law was being translated into Latin as taking away of possession. Seisin probably originally had some connotations of lordship, a lord putting a person in possession of land. And to disseize is the reverse of that. And lords could justifiably disseize their tenants for reasons somewhat similar to the ones that you have been talking about. Failure to perform service may lead to temporary or permanent dispossession. Disloyalty, treachery is likely to lead to forfeiture, which is permanent disseisin. It was possible in certain cases for disseisin to be carried out justifiably by other people. Notably, for example, if someone loses a law case, a royal official may be ordered to disseize that person and give seisin to the successful party. Disseisin also, though, can be used for unjustified dispossession, sometimes by a lord, sometimes by another person. This is clear, for example, in the writ of novel disseisin, of recent disseisin, where the disseisin is specified as having been unjust and without judgment. And that notion of unjustified taking away links to the other word that we raised, which was deforcement. Deforcement means having taken away possession of land. So in an action over ownership, it may be specified who is the person who has deforced the claimant of their right to the land. So in that case, deforcing is taking away not necessarily established right, but what someone is claiming to be established right. And all of these, of course, would relate to the word that you were talking about, eviction, which is the thing that we would talk about in modern English law, often of justified dispossession, but one could use it more casually of unjustified dispossession.